Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Sing Fires of Justice 2020. This year, our 15th year, we're thinking about home and the ways in which having a place to call home or not impacts people in Waterloo Region. We hope that this time of song and word and conversation will deepen your awareness of who we are in our diversity in this region, and in particular, what the Water Street House Project is doing to create an inclusive and welcoming home. Although we're not able to sing together in person during this pandemic, which is a hallmark of Sing Fires, we invite you to sing along wherever you are with the songs for which text is provided, to listen deeply, to pray, and to engage with one another in the chat function, which will be open. And if that's new to you, there's a dialogue bubble at the bottom of your screen. We invite your interaction there. The program is pre-recorded and lasts for a little over an hour. Together with the artists and the speakers tonight, we offer this Sing Fires gathering toward a deeply connected community where all have the support needed to flourish. So on behalf of St. Matthew's Lutheran Church, Laurier Centre for Music in the Community, and the Kanata Centre at Martin Luther University College, welcome to Sing Fires of Justice for Home.
Welcome home. We gather together today, linked in computer-connected space. But we are all still here, gathered on the land. The land was inhabited by the first peoples, the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and the neutral people. These sounds and images are from a small, still wild part of Waterloo, a spot on the old Haldeman tract, part of a land promised as home, part of a promise broken. The first people are still here. They are mentors, friends, co-workers, churchgoers, teachers, part of home for whom we still seek justice. In this stillness, I am the trees alive with singing. I am the sky every year at once. I am the wind bearing stories across generations. I am the light everywhere, descending. I am a traveler on a sacred journey through this one shining day. Richard Wagamese, Embers. Welcome home.
Bonjour, Sego, Wache, Tansi, Bonjour Mishomsak, Nokamisak, Chimegwech Geshamanado, Nindwe Maganadok, Widokwashan. As we have gathered together tonight in the spirit of friendship and peace, let us put our minds together, greet one another in our minds, put our minds together as one to give thanks for all of life. And let us begin with our Mother the Earth, she who nourishes and nurtures us through all of our days. We are so grateful to her. Then we turn our minds to our elder brothers and sisters, the plants and the animals. They give us food, medicine, shelter, and they ask for nothing in return. To them we give our thanks. Now we turn our minds to the waters. They carry us into the world and they sustain us. We give thanks to the thunders and the lightning who come from the west in the growing time, carrying the rain that renews the water. To them we give thanks. Now we turn our minds to the air and ask that it be cleansed for the life that cannot exist without it. To the air we give thanks. Now we turn our minds to the heavens, the grandfather sun, who comes each day and brings light, warmth, and energy. To the sun, with happiness, we give thanks. Now we turn our minds to the grandmother moon, who looks after the women and the waters. To her we give thanks. Then we turn our minds to the stars, who guide us in the darkness and remind us of the wonder, the glory, and the immensity of creation. When we see them in their countless numbers, with joy we give them thanks. We acknowledge, Creator, that we have only begun to name the many blessings creation has given us, and we ask that we walk on this earth in a sacred manner. Thank you all for joining me and giving thanks. Miigwech, nakumek.
Shepherd and sheep, my God and I, to fresh green fields you led my steps in days gone by. You gave me rest by quiet springs, and filled my soul with peace your loving presence brings. Oh, shelter me, oh, shelter me. The way ahead is dark and difficult to see. Oh, shelter me, oh, shelter me. All will be well if only you will shelter me. I will look back in days to come and realize your faithfulness has led me home. Within your house I'll find my peace, trusting that in your mercy you have sheltered me. Oh, shelter me, oh, shelter me. The way ahead is dark and difficult to see. Oh, shelter me, oh, shelter me. All will be well if only you will shelter me. All will be well if only you will shelter me.
Did we make a mistake? I whispered as hulking wheels heavy-footed the airstrip of Pearson. To my left, fields covered in snow. Infinite. This country is something infinite. The way it has learned to take and take and take. Taught to take into infinity, the infinity of the 401, the infinity of its traffic, my father repeats the question. Did we make a mistake? As we are staring into the infinite claustrophobia of an empty apartment, walls echoing nervous heartbeats, carpets already mellowing our foreign names, windows overlooking infinite suburbia, taught to take and take and take. So instead, take me where my name is my name. All tender vowels and shadde, slight roll in the ra, stillness in the sukoon, its rhyme with flowers. Where my name is history and present, scientist, dictator, government clerk, and farmer. Where nicknames are love, not survival. Where soil holds the letters of my name like it does the roots of snowbar, and streets whisper we have always known each other. Because in this country, immigrant, the first thing you will lose is your name. Their tongues do not bother with your foreign sounds. So you hand out your nicknames at the party along with the beer and the hummus. You play broken telephone until you flatten the L, unroll the R, and drop the dod and the ha all together. Until you bash your head against a million. Could you repeat that again until you begin to introduce yourself with unrolled R's? And when the fight in you is over, they will look you in the eye and say, do I say your name right? In this mirage of inclusivity, this game of diversity we play, where we are accessories to whiteness. We are hummus with your vegetables, midnight burritos. We are engineers driving you home from salsa nights. We are salsa nights. We are fair trade coffee and artisanal bracelets. We are calluses that grew your quinoa. We are Uber rides from the airport. No vacation, no benefits, no dental. We are chipped yellow teeth. To the dentist, I am chipped yellow teeth. Untreated cavities. He says, come see me every 4 months. Your teeth are not groomed and your English is broken. Fixing one could fix the other. See my other patient of 3 years. I glued his English together with braces. There was so much blood in the beginning, but now he smiles straight white teeth. And I believed him, because we did not know better. We wore parkas in -5 weather. We barely knew directions. In my first month here, I learned the steps to the nearby Middle Eastern convenience store. We bought stacks of phone cards, 30 cents per minute to Syria. The first time we called back home, my sister cried 30 cents into the phone. Crying dollars into the phone became our new familiar. We rationed minutes for survival, our laughter laced with doubt, our goodbyes crashing against the beep of you have 1 minute left on this card. Then we cried. We cried and we learned that the memory in our tongue, the frail survival in our knees, and the infinite universes in our eyes, they can be our new home.
I walk a stranger on this land, and weary have I grown. But with the
The Irish poet and philosopher John O'Donoghue writes, "A home is not simply a building, it is the shelter around the intimacy of a life. Coming in from the outside world and its rasp of force and usage, you relax and you allow yourself to be who you are." Tonight, we're joined by Jean Becker, Senior Director of Indigenous Initiatives at University of Waterloo, Bashar Lulu Jabour, spoken word poet, and Nathan Stretch of the Working Center. Thank you for being part of this Sing Fires conversation. Amid the climate crisis that threatens our common home, the earth, and during this pandemic, where the well-being of so many has been threatened, our awareness has been raised about who are the most vulnerable among us. And tonight we're curious about what you are seeing from your lived experience regarding the connection between home and where we, our community, needs to pay attention to those who are vulnerable.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bashar Lulu Jabour. I'm a spoken word poet. I've been living in Kitchener for almost 16 years at this point. I immigrated from Syria with my family in 2005. And when I thought about this question, what does home mean to me? I started with the physical spaces that mean home to me. And I thought, well, it is my house, the house that I live in today. It's also my parents' house, which is also in Kitchener. It's also Syria, in particular, the Syrian coast where I'm from and where my family lives now. So for me, home is so tied to my ancestry and to where do I perceive myself to be from, specifically the people I'm from, the people who have brought me to where I am and where they live and their homes. And I think that this definition for me is so tied, as an immigrant, tied to work because, when you're displaced and when you're displaced in a way where you can't really go back to where you're from in terms of a physical location, I feel like you have to do work to produce home. What is home for you? And it's now home becomes an action. It becomes a verb. Becomes hosting people over for dinner and trying to be part of the community in ways that you hadn't thought you would be part of that community. You have to do. So I really think of home as two things: the places where I relate to the people closest to me, chosen family or biological family, and the work I have to do to foster those relationships wherever I am in the world.
Thank you, Bashar. That was beautiful. Bujo, Sego, Wache, Tansi. I am Jean Becker. I'm Inuk. I grew up in Nunatsiavut, which is part of Labrador. I have lived in Ontario, in this region of Ontario, for more than 40 years. And when I was asked this question, I really thought so about, what does home mean to me, and if you say to me, where's your home? Where do I immediately go? And a little bit like Bashar, I first think of Labrador. That's the first place I think of. And, I was reading a bit of From the Ashes, Jesse Thistle's book about homelessness. And in that book, Jesse redefines homelessness. He says that, the notion of not having a house to live in is not what homelessness is. It's not only what homelessness is. And maybe particularly for Indigenous people, but after listening to Bashar, I think it also is true for him. So, so homelessness, according to Jessie Thistle, is being disconnected. So the disconnected from your family, or perhaps it's some portion of your family. Perhaps you're with some of your family, but not all. So disconnection from family, from the land, from your culture, from your identity. And so when I think of Labrador, what I realize is how connected I was to that place and to my ancestors there. And, you know, I can still remember what it smells like in the summer there. It smells beautiful. It has this sweet, sweet smell that I have never smelled anywhere else in the world. So, so that's very visceral for me. So how have I managed to live somewhere else? And by choice, I can say I'm here by choice. I have established another family here. You know, my children and my grandchildren are here. And I think that Bashar was absolutely so beautifully dead on when he talked about, you know, you work at having the family here, and it's all about the actions you take to build that relationship with people here and the community here. For me, you know, the Indigenous community in the urban area of Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph, Cambridge is so important to me. It's been such a big part of my life in Ontario. So this is home for me, is having that community around me, and knowing, you know, that they're there, and it's a little bit like the village that I grew up in.
For a long time, when I thought about home, I would think specifically about the home that we lived in when I was growing up, from like age 4 to 10, up in northern Ontario, in a little town called Englehart. Well, like 15 minutes outside of that little town of Englehart, just kind of in the middle of the woods. And even though I haven't lived there for a long time, whenever we would drive up that way, I used to feel more and more settled in, where the roads started to get kind of blasted out of granite, right? You're just kind of, as we kind of came on the Canadian Shield, I used to feel really settled and start to think like, I'd like to put my hands on the rock in this region and feel home. Into this space, into this region I've been in Kitchener for the last 10 years, living and working in the downtown core, working for the Working Centre, and living for the last in a multi-generational way in a house with my parents. And that is the heart of home now, is the relationship that I have with my partner and our daughters. And it kind of feels like the geographic shift came along with that expansion of the family. There's something about the kind of rootedness of it in this space that comes out of that emergent relationship with people that didn't even exist, 5 and 3 years ago. And that change and that surprise is part of home as well, right? It's about stability in the family, but it's about the opportunity to reintroduce myself to the concept of home, or what home is in this context. And that's a real privilege, like to be able to have the opportunity to continue to reintroduce myself and ourselves as a sense of home and family inside a stable place. Certainly in the work that I do in downtown Kitchener and with the people that I work with, this home has not been a stable, safe, or accessible place. And the opportunity to kind of imagine home on behalf of and with this kind of diverse and resilient group has really led to my thinking of home and the ability to retain shelter as something that socially, kind of as a group, as a society, we haven't always indicated was for everyone all the time how they need it, when they want it, and how do we make this right?
Thank you. Thank you. How do we make this right? I think that's at the heart of the depth of the question that I want to ask next.
Was really this idea that we need to stop moralizing the access to resources that people need in this community. And that's really a shift from a traditional charity concept to this kind of concept of reciprocity or community building or togetherness, or just access to resources that we can really manage as a community in this country, even in this time. And that means confronting our ideas about who deserves resources, like who gets to live inside. And, you know, related to those ideas are issues of what we think about violence, how we think about drug use and the people who use drugs, how we work and understand the kind of mental health issues that are becoming more and more prevalent in our community, how we deal with or how we internalize or how we approach heavily traumatized people, and more often than not now, how do we work in this community where people have these kind of compounding complexities to their lives, where the pieces that I just listed are all kind of exhibiting themselves all at once in a single person. What we as a community can do is take communal responsibility. We could bear these ideas together, that we've got these systems in place and they benefit a whole bunch of people, but it also leaves a bunch of people out. We can continue to work the systems so that they're more inclusive over time, but sometimes we have to act outside of system, outside of norm, and come with shared compassion, shared understanding of complex humanity, and work to kind of bring the resources to this group that has been dislocated from them.
You know, for me, the whole experience of COVID has really heightened the inequality in society. And I feel like this experience has really made these contrasts in society so stark and hurtful, even for me. And I'm not experiencing that right now, but I know there are thousands and thousands of people who are living in even worse circumstances than that. You know, the recent story about the fire in the refugee camp in Greece, for instance, how horrifying. I mean, and thinking about all of the refugee camps throughout the world. Mm-hmm. And we're in the midst of this pandemic and there's nowhere to go. Right. And then, you know, Nathan is talking about the similar situation for some of the people who are living amongst us right here in our very own city. Mm-hmm. So I think that, you know, trying to be good neighbors is wonderful, trying to, you know, do whatever we can to extend a helping hand when it's needed. But I'm really, at this point in my life, very conscious of the need for some real structural change, changing the structures that support inequality, changing the structures that support and encourage even discrimination and racism and it seems at this moment at this time in this pandemic that we have an opportunity to actually make some real change. You know, it was so hopeful when people were talking about a guaranteed income.
Mhm.
Wow, you know, can you imagine what a difference that would make for so many people?
Mhm.
And then it didn't happen again. Didn't happen again. So, you know, I think that maybe it's time that we start talking about these things in these big ways, big structural change, and really start talking about living in principled societies. For Indigenous people, we need to be connected. We need to be connected to the land. We need to be connected to our culture. And we need to, and the everything that we do is related to land. And we're landless people. Here we are in our homeland and we're landless. And we're landless for places, for land on which we can live a culturally authentic life. Where we can,
two things: the unsustainable consumption that we are doing across the whole planet. And I think that's tightly coupled with the redistribution of resources. We definitely need a redistribution of resources within these political boundaries of Canada, but we also need it on a global scale. And I think when I think of being a good neighbor, what it means today, I come from a place in Syria. I always say I've been poor in Syria, I've been poor in Canada, I've been middle class in Canada, and being poor in Syria is nothing like being poor in Canada. I think of that. I think just trusting that we can rely on each other. But I think in this critical moment, I think being a good neighbor, and I see so much work being done on the cup of sugar thing, the alleviating the symptoms, dealing with the symptoms of the problems. But I think being a good neighbor more than ever is about direct action that results in redistribution of resources.
And I really struggled to find the heart of our inability to share the resources amongst each other. And I know I feel it. I know I struggle with it, but I can't put my finger on that. What feels like a bit of a dark shard in my heart, and maybe in the heart of our community. But I want to know, even though it's very uncomfortable, to dig away at that, because I'm starting almost through the process of working and listening and talking to people and trying things to imagine another way, to believe in another structure, maybe a more just society, a more principled society, like Jean was saying.
Putting together what Bashar was talking about and what Nathan was talking about, it's like we actually exist in cultures today and in a society today that fosters this kind of scarcity thinking. We have created these cultural norms that lead us, I think, to this mass accumulation and this fear of being without. So again, I'm back to what is becoming a mantra, a structural change.
Home. Where is home? What is home? Who is home? Home. From where I leave but never left behind. Home. Where there are walls not to keep me out, but to give me a structure. Home. Where my story is born but moved to go beyond the story. Home. Where words cross and clash, but also where they are heard. Home nurtures my cognition, but fosters cognitive dissonance. Home, where my hands are held not with fetters, but with love that frees. Home, where tears are not held in check, but births a smile through the tears. Home, where hope is born amidst hopelessness. Home, where I have roots to ground me and wings to fly. So home is not just a place where I can rest my head. Home is a place I arrive at, where I'm enabled to be who I am. Home is where I'm emboldened to live my identity. I am home when I can be who I am called to be, created in the image of God.
Refuge away from you, but the hardest part of living through this moment is the wreckage left behind, going round in circles. Every second hurts so much, there's nowhere left to hide. And all this pain I throw away. What happens now? It takes a little faith to get back up. It takes a little heart to let you love yourself inside. It takes a little time to just let go. Open up your eyes and then you'll know it'll be alright. If you have a little faith. And the hardest part of holding on for too long is the truth I never face. And the only reason that I keep falling, it's so damn hard to change. And all this pain
Hello, everyone. On behalf of the organizing committee of Sing Fires of Justice 2020, on the theme of home, I would like to thank you for being with us today. As the committee grappled with what to do and how to handle this annual event in a time when we knew we were unable to meet face-to-face, sing glorious music together, share in conversation, we almost canceled the whole event. But as we continued our discussions, it became apparent that on our minds was this topic of home and what it meant to us, whether to be homeless or homebound, whether to be on our journey towards a home or to be leaving a home. And this seemed like a rich topic, and I think our participants today have borne that out. I deeply thank all of those who participated in this event. They gave freely and shared generously of their time, talent, and opportunity to share their journey with us. I hope the evening has been an inspiration for you, but also a challenge, giving you some new things to think about in times of challenge, controversy, uncertainty, and change. We end the program this evening with a spiritual sung by the Kitchener-Waterloo Gospel Choir under the direction of Darren Hamilton. Wade in the Water, associated with the Civil Rights Movement, but even previously with the Underground Railroad, and this migration of enslaved people seeking freedom, seeking a home where justice and peace and abundance could live. Thank you again for being here.
See the whole soul dressed in white. God's gonna trouble the water. God's full of light in His light. God's gonna trouble the water. Why don't you wade in the water? Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Well, I went to the water and the water was cold. God's gonna trouble the water. The children running, but not my soul. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. If you believe God's gonna trouble. God's gonna trouble the water. Just God's gonna trouble. God's gonna trouble. God's gonna trouble the water.